I was 13 years old, and all of my cousins and all of my siblings were talking about college. They talked about college because our parents moved from the South to come up north to find work. And it was all about work. College was not a part of the equation. It was about working to make $1 to support the family. But then they said, you know what, I'm working hard, I'm not advancing in my life, I don't want my kids to suffer from the same thing. So then they said, college. Everything was college. But me, the black sheep of the family, says, I don't know if I want to do that. I decided to become a machinist. And guess what? My father stopped speaking to me for 2 years. There's no embellishment on that story. For 2 years, he would just say, hello, son. That was it. I didn't get much more from that. But I wanted to become a machinist. And it was weird how I was introduced to the trade. A couple of friends in the neighborhood decided to join or participate or apply for a trade school that was way across town, because we had a zone school and they didn't have any trades. There wasn't even preparing you for college. So we said, let's go to this zone school way across town. So when we get there, there was a lot of people similar to this room right now, similar to the room. And let's look at this area as the business administration sections and all of the cosmetology and nursing. And let's take this little hallway down there and let's make that the machine shop. All of the people were here. There was no one down that hallway for a machine shop. But me, inquisitive, I just want to know what's down that hallway. I walked down the hallway. And it was a dark hallway. I mean, it was completely dark. I actually had to step in the hallway. See, there's light out here. I had to step in the hallway this way to make sure there was ground. You gotta laugh at that. That's good stuff. That's warm up a little bit. Yeah. This is not the same commencement speech or the typical commencement speech you were thinking about. So I walked down the hallway once I found there was ground, and I'm walking around, and it's pretty dark. We didn't have cell phones at the time, so I couldn't put the light on my cell phone. It's another joke. And when I get down to the hallway, I saw a room, and there were some flickering lights. You've seen the fluorescent lights when they haven't been replaced, and they're flickering, they're just flickering. And I started to look in the room, and this guy just jumps out of the room, and he grabs me, and he starts shaking me. He says, now, I gotta say this because this is what he said. I'm looking for a few good black guys for this trade. I guess because he couldn't get enough white people in there. So he wrote that thing. And he's shaking me. And I'm thinking, what the heck's wrong with this guy? And so he calms down, he walks me through, and he talks about the trade. I can still smell the oil to this day. The machines looked like they were high technology, but when I think back, they were World War II machines. Big Cincinnati Millicrons, I mean, it was old, but I couldn't tell at the time. And so we had a nice experience, and my mom came down and grabbed me and said, come on, boy, get down here. So I went to the other section. And so about 3 weeks later, some mail came in to the house, and I came home from school. And I saw my mom, she was crying. She sat in the chair, or actually wanted to step outside, and she said, son, come here. She was crying. I said, what's wrong, Mom? And she says, I've got bad news for you. I said, what's wrong? She says, you didn't make the business administration program. They were only accepting 90 students, and you ranked 91. And it broke my heart. So my mom, that determined person, says, you know what? If he's number one, we're going to get him in that school. So she drags me down to the school and talks to the counselor, and she says, nope, can't do it. But there are some other trades that have openings. just pick another trade. Now, who do you think came to mind? That white instructor that grabbed me and shook me very hard. And I said, what about machine shop? And before I even finished my sentence, she says, we got an opening for that. We have an opening. And that's how I was introduced to the trade. Now, I remember reporting to school. I'm 14 years old. I'm ready to start machine shop. And when I got into class, it was a babysitting class. They were all playing cards, and the instructor was at his desk, and I want to run the machines. So I started touching the machines, grabbing the machines. I even got one to start up. And the shop instructor came and said, what are you doing? Leave the machines alone. I said, but that's what we're here for, right? I want to run. I don't want to play cards. And he said, son, you're a little different. I said, you're a little different, son. So after 2 weeks in my 9th grade year, he says, son, you don't need to be in here. We're going to put you on work study. I said, what's work study? He says, well, I can't do it right now, but I promise you, if you can get a car by the time you're 16 years old, I will put you on work study and you'll go to school part-time and you'll go to work part-time. Now that may sound exciting to people in this room maybe, but for me, I laughed at her. I said, a car? That doesn't exist in my neighborhood. A car? I can't get a car. He says, son, you can do it. He says, there are no machine shops in the city. You're gonna need a car. So, long story short, I actually managed to scrounge up $400 in 2 years. $400 in 2 years, and had to borrow the insurance money. TMA has insurance, right? I wish you guys were around. I was paying $236 a month, and it was for liability on a 20-year-old car. Yeah, anyway, that's another story. So I did. I managed to get the car. And then he gives me instructions to get to the job. Teledyne was in Patrick's speech. He says, now you got to take 695. I said, what's 695? He says, son, that's the beltway that goes around your city. I said, I didn't know that. that's how far off I was. And he managed to show me how to get to the job. And then when I got there were no black people. I mean, this is challenge after challenge after challenge. I had a high top fade. Who in here knows what a high top fade is? You know what a high top fade is? You remember Kid and Play? Kid and Play? See, the graduates, they don't know anything about that. That's before their time. I had a high top fade, and I remember walking through the hallway the first time, and all the people that are working in the business started doing this. Who's this guy? Oh yeah, that's a true story. There's no embellishment here, it's a true story. And so, I loved the job, I worked the job, I lived, they gave me a uniform because I only had 3 pair of pants and about 4 t-shirts. This is a true story, man. About 3 pair of pants and 4 t-shirts. And the kids would tease me in school because I wore the same things over and over again. So my supervisor said, come here son, I'm gonna do something for you, you're gonna get all the ladies. They're not going to tease you anymore. I said, okay, what do you have to say? He says, see this uniform? We're going to pay for your uniforms, and you're going to have 5 pairs. And we're going to clean the clothes for you and wear it to work, because women love a working man. So I wore it to work, or school. And they would say, hey, you work at this company? I said, yes. What do you do there? I'm a machinist, I run these machines. All the girls love that. All the girls love that. So now I had a solution for my clothing. And over 2 years working on work study, I remember the last day on the job before graduation, it was about 2 days before graduation, and my mom said, you go to your boss, Mr. Jim, and you go and shake his hand and you tell him thank you for everything he's done, because now I'm thinking college. And I go to Mr. Jim and I go and shake his hand. Mr. Jim, I thank you for this opportunity. He says, son, it's not over for you. I said, what do you mean? He says, we've got more for you. I said, what's next? He says, we're going to put you on an apprenticeship program. I said, an apprenticeship? What is that? I heard the term on Star Wars, but that was it. I did not know what an apprenticeship is. I didn't know. He says, he didn't say it so eloquently like the governor, like a work and learn. He just said, hey, you're going to work for us, and we're going to send you down to the community college, and you can take some courses, and by the time you're done, you're going to get paid $30-some thousand a year. I said, well, what does the pay start now? I mean, what would I get paid now? He says, $10 an hour. So now this is in 1990. And he said $10 an hour. I said, are you serious? $10 an hour? I'm going to make $400 a week? He said, no, son. You're not going to make 400. You're going to make 400 plus. We work overtime around here. So I went back home and told my mom, listen, Mom, I'm going to make $400 plus a week. And my sister's standing, she said, no way, no job's going to pay him that much. It's not going to happen. He's just lying. I said, here's the application. It says it right here. No one makes that kind of money in our neighborhood except drug dealers. That's what she said. No, I made that kind of money. And from that point on, I got to go a little further. So all the guys are standing, this is about my first year apprenticeship, all the guys are standing around the tables. The work is the granite table. This is where you inspect all the work. And there was this large print. And I said, we don't make anything with a print that big. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? What are you doing? And they said, well, Rick's about to buy a home, and this is the blueprint for his home. Wow, how much does that home cost? He said $99,000. I'm like, $99,000, right? That's unheard of for me. So I start asking questions. How do you buy a house? I didn't know anything about credit, didn't know anything. I cashed my check at the liquor store. This is true. And he told me about the bank, credit, all of these things. And I said, wow, I want to buy a house. So the HR person pulled me in the office and showed me how to buy a house. So by the time, at the end of my 18th year, coming out of the inner city, I put a contract in on a brand new home. A brand new home. I saved $10,000 up there my first year, put it down on a brand new home, and didn't know anything about purchasing them. No one in my family purchased homes. It was always from a slumlord. That's true. So I'm going to end it there because that story goes on and on and on. But what I would like to say to the graduates today is that I don't know your circumstances. I don't know if you come from a wealthy family. I don't know if you come from poverty. I have no clue. I can tell you this much. You have entered in a gateway with endless possibilities. Because if someone like me can come from the inner city with a mom making probably $2-something an hour with several kids, where it looks like there's no out, you have entered into a gateway of endless possibilities.